Have you ever sat in a room full of people who are clapping, laughing, cheering and smiling, while every beat of your own heart feels like a hammer cracking through your chest? That's what it felt like that day. The day that was supposed to be one of the happiest moments of my life, my baby shower. Our baby shower, a room decorated in pastel balloons and little signs that said, "Bundle of Joy" and "Can't wait to meet you." Tables covered in food I'd helped pay for, a cake with tiny booties on top, and her standing at the front, glowing in a dress that hugged her bump, thanking everyone for being there, thanking everyone except me. The words that burned into me didn't even come at the start. They came near the end. When she took the microphone to give her little speech, she looked at her best friend, her family, even her co-workers, thanking each one of them for their love and support. But then she turned, eyes soft, voice trembling with what sounded like sincerity, and she said, "And most of all, thank you to him, for making my dreams come true." And she wasn't looking at me. Every head turned to see who she meant, and I swear in that frozen second, the universe decided to move in slow motion, just to make sure I felt the knife twisting all the way in. She was looking at someone else, a man sitting near the back, who'd been smiling a little too much all day, who had slid in quietly like he didn't want to draw attention. He stood out in the crowd, not because of his clothes or his face, but because of the way he carried himself, like he belonged in the story being told, even though I didn't know why. The applause that followed her words should have been deafening, but all I could hear was blood rushing through my ears. My hands tightened around the edge of the table in front of me, until the plastic tablecloth bunched up in my fist. I wanted to stand up, to shout, to demand answers right there, but I didn't. I sat. I smiled weakly. I nodded like everything was fine. Because that's what people expect of you at a baby shower. You don't make a scene. You don't flip tables. You swallow. You choke down the poison and pretend it's champagne. But inside, I was screaming. I played it over and over in my head. What did she mean by making her dreams come true? I was the one selling my car to help with the down payment on the house, so our child could grow up in stability. I was the one who skipped out on nights with friends, on hobbies, on sleep, on myself, because I thought that was what building a family meant. And yet, in front of everyone, she credited another man, not me. That night, when the guests left, when the last of the confetti was swept into the trash, I watched her sink onto the couch with that same glow. She leaned her head back, sighed, and said, "Today was perfect." I asked, "Perfect for who?" She opened her eyes, blinking like she didn't understand, and maybe that's what cut deepest. The sheer audacity to act as if I hadn't just heard her say the most soul-crushing sentence of my life. I didn't press it then, not fully. I told myself maybe it was a slip of the tongue, maybe it was a misunderstanding, but deep down, the seed had been planted, a seed that grew into suspicion, into late nights, scrolling through her phone when she left it unattended, into checking who she texted, who she called, who she smiled at when she thought no one was watching. And that man, the one she looked at, kept showing up, not in person, but in breadcrumbs. A message on her screen she swiped away too quickly, a receipt for coffee with no explanation, a contact saved under a name that didn't match the number's area code. I started piecing things together like a detective who didn't want the case, because sometimes the truth is the last thing you want to uncover. But once you start, you can't stop. Do you know what it's like to question whether the child you're planning your life around is even yours? That's where my mind went. Dark and spiraling. Every kick I felt when I put my hand on her belly. Every onesie we folded together. Every ultrasound photo stuck on the fridge. It all started to look like evidence in a trial where I was the defendant, and the judge had already made up their mind. I told myself I was overthinking. That stress was making me paranoid. But the footage of her at the shower played in my head like a broken record. Her eyes locked on him, not me, as she said those words. The thing is, betrayal doesn't always come crashing through the door. Sometimes it seeps in slowly, poisoning everything before you even realize you've been drinking it. And the more I investigated, the more I realized she wasn't just thanking him for being at the baby shower. She was thanking him for being something else, something bigger, something I wasn't sure I wanted to put a name to yet. That's where I'll stop for now, because what I discovered after, and how it all unraveled, that's part 2. And it's not just about betrayal, it's about what happens when the truth claws its way into the light, whether you're ready or not. I didn't sleep the night of the baby shower, not a second. I lay there beside her, staring at the ceiling, listening to the rhythm of her breathing, as if it might give her away, as if each inhale and exhale carried an answer I was too afraid to say out loud. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her again at the front of that room, saw her lips forming the words, saw her gaze locked on him. "Thank you for making my dreams come true." The phrase carved itself into me like a brand. It wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it. Reverent, soft, the way a person speaks when they've finally touched something they've always wanted. Except she wasn't talking about me. By sunrise, I was pacing the kitchen floor, the house eerily quiet after the chaos of yesterday. I opened the fridge and stared at the leftover cake, the one that had "Congratulations Mommy and Daddy" in blue frosting. I almost laughed. Daddy. That word sat on my chest like a weight. Did it even belong to me, or had I been building a life for someone else's child while she played me like a fool? I knew I couldn't live in suspicion forever. I needed clarity, even if clarity destroyed me, so I started pulling strings. The first step was her phone. She was careless sometimes, leaving it on the nightstand or on the kitchen counter, but lately she'd been clutching it like a lifeline. Screen always facing down. Notifications swiped away before I could glance. I waited until she showered one evening. The water ran upstairs, and I slipped her phone from the charger. My hands trembled as I scrolled. Most of her messages were clean, too clean. That in itself was suspicious. But then I found the hidden folder. Do you know about the apps disguised as calculators or calendars? But behind a code, there's something else. Hers was a fake weather app. I typed her birthday as the password, and the screen unlocked. My stomach flipped. There he was. The man from the shower. His name wasn't saved, but the messages didn't need a label. Thread after thread, stretching back months. Flirty comments, late-night check-ins, photos. Some were harmless on the surface. Coffee cups, street signs, little jokes, but intimacy dripped from every line. And then I saw it. A picture of the nursery we'd painted, sent to him weeks before the baby shower. Her caption, "Our dream coming true." Our, not mine. And hers. Hers, and I felt sick. I set the phone down, leaning over the counter, trying to breathe through the heat building in my chest. She'd been writing him into the story of our child. The walls of my own house suddenly felt foreign, like I was standing in someone else's life. I didn't confront her then. No, I'm not impulsive like that. I knew I needed more than rage. Rage burns fast. Strategy lasts. So I became an observer in my own marriage. Every move she made I catalogued. Every glance at her phone. Every unexplained errand. Every night she said she was too tired, but smiled at her screen before rolling over. I stored it away, and while she thought I was breaking my back with extra shifts, I was also squirreling away money, preparing an escape route. But suspicion wasn't enough. I needed the truth about the baby. It's a horrible thing to even think. I know, to look at the woman carrying your child and wonder if the life inside her has any part of you. But the doubt consumed me. I booked a private paternity test, the kind where they can compare DNA from the mother's blood with a cheek swab from the father. I sent it off, and then I waited. Those 2 weeks were the longest of my life. During that time I played my role, supportive husband, excited dad-to-be. I went with her to an appointment, held her hand when the doctor said everything looked healthy, and all the while, inside I felt like I was drowning, smiling while the water filled my lungs. The results arrived on a Thursday afternoon. I sat in my car after work, envelope in hand, heart pounding like it wanted to break free from my chest. When I tore it open, the world tilted. 0% probability. Not the father. I can't describe the cocktail of emotions that hit me. Numbness, rage, sadness, so deep it hollowed me out. And strangest of all, relief, because finally the doubt was gone. The truth was brutal, but it was clarity. That night, I didn't say a word to her. I ate dinner in silence, kissed her on the forehead, and went to bed. But my mind was already mapping the confrontation. Not just words. Evidence, timing, an audience. I wanted her to feel what I felt at that baby shower. The humiliation of truth in front of others. The opportunity came quicker than I expected. Her parents invited us over for dinner the following weekend. Family gathering, all smiles, everyone talking about the baby. Perfect. I brought the folder with me, printed messages, the paternity results, even screenshots of her little thank you at the shower that I'd pulled from a guest's video. I waited until dessert when everyone was laughing over pie. Then I cleared my throat. "There's something I need to share," I said. Her hand froze on her fork. She glanced at me, eyes wide. She knew. I laid the papers on the table one by one, like cards in a game she was about to lose. "You've all been told I'm the father," I said evenly. "But here's the truth. She's been seeing another man. She thanked him at our baby shower. And this," I tapped the DNA report, "proves the baby isn't mine." The silence that followed was deafening. Her mother gasped. Her father's face turned red. She stammered, begged me to stop, tears streaming down her face. But it was too late. The truth was out, and no amount of crying could stuff it back in the envelope. I stood up, looked at her one last time and said, "You wanted him to make your dreams come true. Then let him. I'm done being written out of my own story." I walked out of that house with nothing but my car keys, and the weight lifting off my chest. The aftermath wasn't pretty. She called me for days, left voicemails filled with sobs, with apologies, with anger. She tried to twist the story, to paint me as cruel, as heartless, but I didn't respond. Silence was my answer. And as the weeks passed, I realized something important. Betrayal doesn't define you unless you let it. Yes, she lied. Yes, she used me. Yes, she humiliated me. But I survived it. I rebuilt. I started over. Do you want to know the irony? Months later, I heard through a mutual acquaintance that the man she thanked at the baby shower, the one she thought was her dream, left before the baby was even born. Dreams built on lies collapse. Always. And me, I'm still here, still standing, stronger than I thought I could be. So when I tell you that moment at the baby shower shattered me, understand this. It also remade me, because sometimes the most painful truth is the one that finally sets you free.